In the 19th century city of Athens, scholars and common folk alike regarded Troy as nothing more than a fanciful dream woven into verse by the blind poet Homer. No one believed the legendary city had ever truly existed until Heinrich Schliemann stepped forward armed with burning obsession, unshakable prejudice and boundless wealth. He raised his iron spade upon desolate barren mounds, vowing to dig through the thick layers of time itself. Tonight, accompanied by soft faint glimmers of light, we wander into the grand, stubborn and extraordinary life of this relentless dream chaser. If a person is willing to wager an entire lifetime of fortune and fate just to believe an ancient 3,000-year-old legend is real, then Heinrich Schliemann was exactly that bold, reckless dreamer. His whole life became a never-ending race against myth and ancient memory. He searched for the true faces of legendary heroes behind gleaming golden masks and sought the silent tears of Helen amid charred, scarred earth. Tonight, set aside all doubt and skepticism and drift with him into the golden, distant memories of a long-forgotten heroic age. Heinrich Schliemann's iron spade stirred the twilight of the old gods, awakening ancient lost civilizations to once again see the light of day. He began life as a poor humble apprentice, then grew into a shrewd successful merchant, yet in the end he became the loyal quiet guardian of age-old mythology. When the hidden treasures of Troy emerged once more beneath the blazing sun, he finally kept the sacred promise he had made to his own youthful self. This is a gentle tale of relentless determination, unyielding courage and quiet final peace. May it cradle you into calm, undisturbed sleep. Imagine what it would be like to build your entire life upon a fairy tale the whole world dismisses as nothing but lies. In that rational, reason-driven age of the 19th century, respected scholars scoffed with absolute certainty, declaring Troy nothing but poetic imagination. Yet one man stood stubbornly upon the desolate, windswept hills of Hizarlik in Turkey, clutching tightly to an old yellowed book of epic verse. Heinrich Schliemann, self-made merchant with no formal archaeological training, prepared to use his vast fortune and the rest of his days to shake down the towering wall of forgotten time. Tonight, let the soft, gentle glow of flickering firelight stay with us as we walk fully into the untold story of his life. This tale is far more than simple archaeology. It is a profound tribute to how stubborn devotion and obsession can conquer the slow erosion of time and oblivion. He heard the distant neighing of war horses within quiet, loamy soil and touched the cold, warm glow of buried gold and utter stillness. Now close your eyes, let your mind drift with the faint fragrance of damp earth, sinking back into that golden heroic era long lost to the ages. Heinrich Schliemann's life began as a long, lonely flight in search of his true self. When he was still only a poverty-stricken young apprentice working in a small general store, his father gifted him a book titled Illustrated World History. One single engraved print showing the city of Troy collapsing amid raging flames etched itself permanently deep into his young, sensitive heart. In those early years, Schliemann bore a lean, thin face with a stubborn, almost nervous glint in his eyes. He asked his father earnestly whether those mighty city walls had truly vanished forever. Bound by crippling poverty, he was forced to leave school at an early age, traveling to Russia to work as an apprentice, sailing to the Netherlands as a clerk, and even surviving a terrifying, deadly shipwreck against all odds in the bitter cold streets of St. Petersburg. Relying on his extraordinary gift for languages and an almost self-punishing work ethic, he swiftly accumulated staggering wealth, rising to become a wealthy millionaire and well-known figure in high society. Yet every quiet late night the pages of Homer's epics always lay open upon his desk. Amid the smoke and chaos of the Crimean War, he traded bulk goods across continents, all while quietly calculating the long journey that would take him toward the Aegean coast. He came to understand clearly that without setting out to find Troy, no amount of wealth or luxury could ever fill the hollow emptiness in his soul. He would remain forever a spiritual wanderer. So at the age of 46 he made a decision that stunned the entire world. He sold off all his vast possessions, fortune and business to devote himself entirely to digging into ancient earth. Schliemann journeyed to Greece and found every inch of that ancient land breathing with the quiet allure of timeless mythology. He longed for a companion, a kindred spirit who could wander alongside him, searching for traces of the real world hidden within the lines of the Iliad. He placed an advertisement in local newspapers seeking a wife who loved Homer deeply and spoke fluent ancient Greek. In time he met Sophia, a much younger Greek maiden. On their wedding day she wore no luxurious bridal gown. Instead, walking beside him, wandering across barren wilderness and lonely hillsides, Schliemann, dressed in outdated formal evening wear topped with the silk top hat that marked his social standing, stood side by side with ordinary laborers deep inside muddy excavation pits, personally joining in the hard digging labor. He distrusted established professional archaeologists, entirely convinced every directional description written in Homer's verses formed an accurate, precise ancient map pointing toward A small unremarkable hill ignored and dismissed by academic experts, his voice trembled with quiet emotion, declaring this very spot held the palace of King Priam. Laborers toiled relentlessly beneath the scorching sun, their sweat dripping into parched dry soil, while Schliemann watched every fragment of unearthed pottery and stone with the intense focus of a devoted guardian. He endured endless humiliation and scorn from the academic world, branded a vulgar upstart, a reckless amateur destroying precious ancient relics, yet he paid no mind to their criticism whatsoever. Then came the fateful life-changing morning of 1873 at the foot of an ancient stone wall in Hizarlik, when his eyes caught a dazzling streak of golden light glowing unnaturally amid ordinary soil. In that breathless moment time seemed to freeze completely before Schliemann, leaving him barely able to draw breath. Recognizing instantly the extraordinary meaning of that gleaming golden glow, he quietly sent away all hired laborers, leaving only his wife Sophia beside him, telling them they could finish work early. Claiming it happened to be his birthday, he spoke a quiet lie, his voice trembling with wild passionate excitement. Alone beneath the broken ancient stone wall, the two of them used two rusted small knives, gently brushing away layer upon layer of thick dust covering thousands of years of buried civilization. What lay revealed before them were hundreds upon hundreds of heavy precious golden treasures, gleaming crowns, delicate bracelets, fine carved hair ornaments, and elegant golden drinking cups. With trembling hands Schliemann placed a magnificent heavy golden necklace around Sophia's neck. In that timeless instant he believed wholeheartedly these were the very jewels once worn by Helen, transforming ancient myth into tangible metal reality he could touch and behold. He named this priceless collection Priam's treasure, convinced he had breathed new life into that magnificent long-forgotten age. Later archaeological research would prove these golden artifacts dated back a full 1,000 years earlier than the actual Trojan War, yet such facts mattered little to Schliemann. The sacred, profound sense of wonder and fulfillment he experienced in that moment was more than enough to repay every year of toil, hardship, loneliness, and relentless dedication. Standing beneath the glowing golden sunset, watching the golden ornaments shimmer softly around his wife's neck, the towering walls of Troy that had wavered uncertainly in his mind for 30 years finally settled steady and complete. The astonishing discovery of Troy never slowed Schliemann's ambition. Instead, his longing to uncover hidden myths expanded endlessly. With every new excavation he traveled next to Mycenae, the legendary domain of King Agamemnon, described in epic verse as a land rich with gold. Beneath the famous landmark known as the Lion Gate he unearthed a deep vertical shaft tomb hidden within the earth, and inside it he discovered a haunting mask, crafted entirely from pure gold. The face carved upon the mask bore a solemn, dignified, imposing aura, carrying the ancient, majestic presence of a primordial royal ruler. Schliemann knelt down, gently pressing his lips against the cold surface of the mask, fully convinced he was gazing directly upon the true face of Agamemnon. In a telegram sent straight to the King of Greece he wrote simply, "I have looked upon the face of Agamemnon." From that moment onward Schliemann became a household celebrated hero across all of Europe. Though his rough, untrained excavation methods were crude and careless, damaging countless precious undiscovered relics, no one could resist being moved by his boundless, almost fanatical love for ancient legend. He filled his grand Athenian mansion, naming every single room after figures from Homer's epics. He taught his own children to read and speak ancient Greek, insisted even household servants memorize lines from the great poems, fully immersing his entire daily life into the world of myth. Yet beneath his fame and success lingered deep quiet loneliness, his rich, vivid inner spiritual world setting him apart from the trivial ordinariness of everyday reality. He spent his days searching for the shadows of people who had died 3,000 years before, slowly losing touch with how to embrace and cherish the living world around him. In his later years Schliemann suffered from severe painful ear trouble, a quiet balance perhaps fate imposed for listening too closely to the faint whispers of ancient forgotten voices. On the eve of Christmas he collapsed suddenly on a street in Naples, Italy, no one recognizing the face of the great pioneering archaeologist beside him. He who once adorned his wife with radiant golden treasures ended his days confined alone in an unfamiliar hospital room, listening to endless persistent ringing echoing quietly in his ears. Even in his final fading moments he whispered softly of distant ancient soil and undiscovered resting places of long-lost heroes. All his life he had fled the shadow of his impoverished, humble beginnings, yet in every quiet dream he returned once more to the pages of that old illustrated world history. His funeral was held with grand solemn ceremony, attended by statesmen, scholars, and intellectuals from across the globe, all coming to pay tribute to the man many once called a reckless madman. Beside his coffin stood a marble statue of Homer, as if even on his journey into the next world he still needed the blind poet to guide his way. He carried not a single piece of golden treasure with him into the afterlife, only the quiet, profound satisfaction of having fulfilled his lifelong search. He proved to the entire world that within a planet driven by practical gain and material desire, romantic, unyielding obsession can still bloom into the most brilliant Extraordinary beauty. His tombstone bore no record of his vast wealth or fortune, only a simple timeless inscription dedicated to the hero Schliemann. Today the wind still sweeps quietly across the rolling hills of Hazarlik, the ancient city walls once buried deep beneath earth now standing exposed as a famous scenic site for travelers. Controversy over Schliemann never fades away. Some label him a clever forger, others a reckless relic destroyer, many hail him as a self-taught genius. Yet we return to the quiet question posed at the very beginning: is a life built entirely upon an old legend still worthwhile? Schliemann answered that question fully. With every step of his journey there are countless forms of truth, and the one that belonged uniquely to Heinrich Schliemann was simply unwavering belief. He showed humanity that myths never truly disappear, they merely wait patiently for someone bold enough, stubborn enough, and quiet enough to wake them from their long slumber. Tonight, as you close your eyes and release the trivial fleeting pursuits of everyday life, you too may find your own quiet Troy, waiting peacefully within the realm of dreams. The firelight has dimmed to soft lingering embers. If you still lie awake, let your thoughts settle gently upon that quiet blue coastal shore. May Schliemann's unyielding devotion stand as steady watchman over your dreams, grant you sleep as deep, calm, and enduring as a civilization slumbering quietly beneath the earth. Good night and sweet dreams.